On Friday the 21st of September 1928, the following letter was received by the editor of the Western Times, a newspaper from Exeter. Sir, on Tuesday morning last, a party of us who were motoring across Dartmoor were interested in some notices on each side of the road not many miles from Moreton Hampstead, with these words in large print: "Beware of death by the hairy hands." We should very much like to know the origin of these signs. Perhaps one of your readers will kindly satisfy our curiosity, thanking you in anticipation of an insertion in your columns. The story actually began 7 years earlier in 1921 when a Dr. Ernest Helby, a medical officer from Dartmoor prison, took his two daughters out for a ride in the motorcycle sidecar, and as they travelled along the B3212, Helby suddenly struggled to control the handlebars of his motorcycle, which wrenched violently off the road, crashing into a ditch. Tragically, Helby died on the spot. His skull was fractured, while the daughters survived with minor injuries. The daughters later claimed that Helby had muttered about hairy hands just before losing control. In one version of the story, one of these children insisted she had seen the large, hairy hands seize the handlebars, steering the motorcycle to its doom. That wasn't the only encounter either. The same year, both a coach driver and an army officer swore they'd been forced off the road by an invisible, forceful grip. What is the mystery of the unseen hands on the Post Bridge at Two Bridges Road in East Devon? On one stretch of this road, a little distance out of the Dartmoor village of Post Bridge, have occurred 3 curious accidents since the end of March. In each case, the vehicle unaccountably swerved to the side of the road. On the first occasion, this strange swerving resulted in the death of a doctor who was on a motorcycle. On the second, a motor coach was affected and several passengers were thrown out. On the third, an officer friend of Mr. Gifford, riding a motorcycle, stated that he actually felt 2 large, muscular, hairy hands close over his own and force him into the side of the road, in spite of his resistance. As a result of this apparently forced turning movement, the young man was hurt and his bicycle was damaged. The doctor in the first instance was Dr. E. H. Helby, medical officer of Princetown Prison. Were his hands similarly turned against his will by the large unseen hands which so nearly killed the young officer? It is impossible to answer the question, but the fact that he shouted to his 2 children, passengers in the sidecar, immediately before the accident, telling them to jump as there was something wrong, shows that he was aware of the danger. On Sunday, the author of this article, who is interested in psychic matters, told a reporter that 2 explanations of the matter were the interference of an elemental or nature spirit, or of the earthbound spirit of some such person as a murderer. As far as I know, however, there is no record of a murder having occurred near the spot, he said. I do not think that the young officer to whom the latest incident occurred knew of the fact that 2 similar accidents had taken place in the same place. The accidents happened within a few hundred yards of each other, I should say. The place where the accidents occurred is near the gates of Archerton, the house of Sir Courtenay Walter Bennett, former British Consul General, at New York. Over the years, similar accounts kept surfacing. Drivers, motorcyclists, and even people on horse-drawn carriages all spoke of an invisible force that would seize their own hands, wrenched against their will. In some cases, the victims saw these hands, hairy, large, and powerful, before losing control. A more recent one was in 1962, when Florence Warwick pulled over to check her map and suddenly saw 2 large hairy hands pressed right up against the windshield, crawling towards her. Paralysed with fear, she watched them, only to see them vanish a second after she cried out in terror. Ghosts on roads are nothing unusual. That is to say, they are not unusual in the realms of the paranormal. The N9 road in Uniondale of South Africa is known for its Uniondale ghost, a spectral hitchhiker who said to appear on this road, especially to lone drivers. The apparition is believed to be a young woman killed in a car accident sometime in the 60s. Highway 666, which is now US Route 491, is dubbed the Devil's Highway, and this stretch in the southwestern United States has a reputation for bizarre accidents, phantom vehicles, and ghostly encounters. Some drivers report being chased by a phantom truck that vanishes. The A229, known as Bluebell Hill in England, and this stretch is notorious for sightings of a woman in white who has been blamed for numerous car accidents over the years. Several drivers have reported seeing a figure suddenly appear on the road, swerving to avoid her, only to find she vanishes without a trace. If you'd like to know more about that, I did a full feature video about that. You can see the link to that in the description of this video. Tuen Mun Road in Hong Kong. This road has a huge accident rate and is associated with ghost sightings. Some locals believe these apparitions are the spirits of past accident victims who just roam the area, appearing suddenly in front of cars, causing drivers to swerve or brake suddenly. The E8 expressway in Malaysia, known for its numerous ghost stories, and drivers on this expressway frequently report seeing figures by the roadside or a mysterious old woman who causes drivers to crash. Clifton Road in Karachi, Pakistan, a coastal road infamous for stories of supernatural entities, with drivers recounting tales of mysterious unseen forces jerking their cars or ghostly apparitions that just appear and disappear. There's also an ethereal lady in white who is said to appear before drivers and then vanish into the night. But ghostly hands, or just ghosts that are pets of people, they're a bit more rare, surely. I mean, there's headless ghosts, right? We know headless horsemen and stuff like that, but what about ghosts of just hands or just a body part? Well, in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, the Alley of the Severed Hands exists, where two brothers were executed for murdering a priest, and legend has it that their severed hands continue to haunt an alleyway. People report seeing ghostly hands reaching out from the walls, particularly at night, creating a chilling atmosphere and, of course, attracting curious visitors. In Northern Ireland, there is the ghostly factory hand. So, a photograph that was taken in Northern Ireland in the early 1900s showing a group of factory women, and it appears to reveal a mysterious hand resting on one woman's shoulder. And this ghost hand is particularly creepy because, well, whose is it? The locals attribute it to the spirit of a factory worker, making it one of Ireland's weirdest ghostly mysteries. Japan has the Teke Teke urban legend, which is the tale of a ghost of a woman who was cut in half by a train, and whilst it's not strictly just hands, it's a part of a body, isn't it? It's just the upper part, the torso, where she just drags herself along using her arms to crawl. A lot of Japanese ghost stories focus on dismembered body parts, actually. I'm sure there's the ghost of the leg of a horse that kicks you as you pass a tree. I'm not making that up, you can Google it. But if you want to get into the ghosts and entities of Japan, well, we'll be here all day, won't we? One scientific theory, proposed by early 20th century writer Beatrice Chase, suggested that the high metal content in Dartmoor's moorland could generate some sort of a magnetic field strong enough to interfere with vehicles, causing unexpected steering issues. Although this doesn't explain hairy hands, certainly doesn't explain why it affected some people on horse-drawn carts either, but it could account for sudden jerking sensations felt by drivers. In Devon and Cornwall, tales of mischievous fae, or piskies as they call them, are common. They're known to play pranks and mislead travellers, or even to cause accidents. A pixie, or a puka, could be playing tricks, perhaps in the form of these phantom hands. It wouldn't be unusual in local law where such entities get blamed for causing havoc in general, especially for travellers. There are also a few fey entities in folklore that have a particular focus on hands or use their hands in peculiar ways. Here's some examples. Redcaps are malevolent fey from Scottish border folklore. They're usually seen around old castles or ruins. They're small, goblin-like creatures known for their blood-stained caps and sharp claws, which they use to attack travellers and trespassers. Their hands are especially emphasised in stories with these claws being depicted as their main weapon. The Nuckalarvi, a terrifying fae from Orkney folklore, which is often depicted as a skinless, part human, part horse sort of thing, with hands that have unnaturally long, grasping fingers. These outstretched hands are used to spread disease or to grab victims as it gallops across the landscape. In Scottish folklore, they have the Bodachs, a mischievous and sometimes sinister fae who are known for creeping into homes and causing trouble. They are often depicted with really long, bony hands that can reach through windows or under doors to grab or steal things. The Bananach, Irish fae spirits, typically linked to the battlefield actually, where they hover over dying warriors or just spread chaos. They are sometimes described as having long, ghostly arms or fingers that reach out to grasp at the souls of the dead or dying, guiding them to the other world. So what if the Dartmoor hands reached out not to cause harm, but to divert the rider or driver, offering a warning that they were about to have a crash? Or are they some sort of a grim reaper which didn't cause the crash but reached out because the death was inevitable? People encountering these hands would likely be terrified and interpret them as an attack, but they could have been a spectral attempt to sort of divert them from either a truly fatal outcome, but that doesn't seem to have played out in the stories, or to guide the spirits of people who die in the crashes to the light, as they say. They could be a reflexive sort of final desperate reach to prevent the same misfortune that befell whoever the owner of the hands might be. But then again, they are described with a distinctly aggressive edge. They grab, they yank, and forcefully steer drivers and riders off the road, which certainly sounds hostile, doesn't it? However, even this aggression might stem from factors that are not completely malevolent. But who really knows? Hey, the ghost of Hairy Hands. What do you think about this one? You let me know in the comments below, please. Hit the like button, it's the thumbs up button in the corner there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And share this video with your friends and all that good YouTubey stuff. Bye for now.